Okay, so what's your dream? What do you love to do that you could do all the time and wish you could make a decent living doing it? If you would just raise your hand if you're ready to share. All right, Rosemary.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Rosemary, and I presently work at a nonprofit agency, an educational agency, and my background is education. My position is really to manage contracts, to broker services. I get involved in some professional development, and a lot of my job I do love. But my perfect job, I would love it to involve health and wellness and art and creativity. Those are passions. You know, I have thought of going into coaching, but I still feel like I'm sort of blocked from just taking that next step and starting a business part-time. But it's putting my wants and needs first and not doing that in a way that's selfish with other people, but I tend to be a caregiver, and in my family, I tend to put other people's needs first and feel like I can fix their problems, which of course I can't. But anyway, so I need to find that balance so that when I'm in a coaching situation, I'm able to be totally present to my clients. So
okay. I heard some really beautiful things in there. I heard you talking about this fear of being selfish and that you have a tendency to put others first. And that's such a really common affliction for women, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is often our source of stuckness. And our stuckness is always too much or too little of something. And Agile is about taking the opposite view and going completely in the other way, and then figuring out where that right amount of movement and flexibility would be, putting some boundaries around it without closing off either one.
Yes.
To me, it's like on the old-fashioned stereo systems, you have like slider bars from left to right for the volume.
Mm-hmm.
So you're either over here or over there, right? And you have places along the continuum, but your adjustment is only possible left or right. And if you're way down here, whoa, it's not so easy to get way back over there, is it?
Right.
Whoa. So you're swinging like this. And so we think, either I'm selfish or I'm a saint. Right?
Yeah, it's exhausting that back and forth.
Exactly. So what you said was, you actually said two things. I'm being too selfish, or I'm putting everyone else's needs ahead of mine. You see how you were going left or right.
Mm-hmm. So
you're swinging back and forth in this pendulum, afraid of both sides.
Yes.
So that's how we get stuck. And to me, the visual of how we get out of that is to, in our minds, first notice the left and right swing that we're in, right? The duality of consciousness, the polarity that we're creating for ourselves, like it's either or, the black or white thinking, and move into this full spectrum of possibilities, right? What's our real full spectrum here? What are we not seeing? In that swing back and forth, what are we missing? We're not looking 360, are we?
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of it as, where's my joystick? Okay? Think about what joysticks did to make computers possible. What the mouse did. Before the joystick, we had left, right, and then we had up, down arrows.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, that's right. It's not only about going left or right. I'm not at a dead end where the only option is left or right. There's up and down, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the joystick moves omnidirectional, 360. Right? Yeah. And what's the art of understanding your joystick, right? Is being able to make subtle adjustments in any direction. Yeah, that's where you get true agility. If you're going, any gamer will tell you won't win the game. Right? You're on that joystick, because what happens when you go too far this way or too far that way, your ability to adjust is limited severely. If you just move a little bit, a surfer on a surfboard is doing the same kind of thing. They're going back and forth and side to side and every other direction in between. They're doing 360 movement within a range. Okay?
That is such a great analogy because I'm like, boom, boom. It's the same analogy. It's one side or the other. And the other piece that I think you've helped me with is that, see, part of my doing what I love and my joy is helping and supporting others. So, I've been in that duality thinking where it's either focus on myself. Should I have a profession where I help other people? Because doesn't that feed into I'm not taking care of myself? But like it doesn't need to be one or the other, because that's, I think, one of my gifts is to support and help other people. So I just need to set a little better boundaries. And like you say, I can move in all directions. I just don't have to move in one direction or another.
That's right. And you don't have to rule out either one either. Sometimes you need to be selfish. Sometimes you need to put someone else's needs ahead. Figuring out the criteria is a big part of this, and that's what Agile and design is about. Design always requires figuring out your criteria for making those adjustments. So you don't just make adjustments willy-nilly, smart adjustments. And neurodiversity plays a big factor in this. And we have, for example, ADD or autism or Asperger's or bipolar or OCD, addictions, procrastination. All of those are forms of stuckness. ADD can get people stuck in changing too much. And interestingly enough, there's a form of ADD where they're too rigid, where we can't stop or start what we're doing, or we're in flight and it's like we can't, transitions are hard. So there's also OCD. I just keep doing this. Like I have no control over doing it. And I'm like in this pattern that I'm in that I can't seem to shake, right? Impulsivity is kind of the extreme of stuckness, right? It's the other side. When you just react too much, it's like off and running. And really the only difference between responding and being impulsive usually is that the result that you got, which I think is kind of fascinating because creative people are called creative and successful if their impulses lead them in positive directions. And ER doctors' impulses leads them to actually be helpful. If they were just as impulsive and only working as needed, but their results weren't good, they would be called impulsive. So it's the same exact talent and phenomenon. It's how it's applied that decides whether or not it's good or bad. And then that's one of the things that I feel is really important that we keep in mind is this idea of right or wrong. We got to go a little more omnidirectional with that too. Think more about right fit, wrong fit for what we're trying to do. So it's not left or right isn't necessarily wrong. Selfish isn't bad, right? Putting everyone else's needs ahead of yours isn't always bad. In some situations, that's the exact right thing you should be doing. So it's the idea of, is my strategy and response fitting the situation? And what would prepare me to understand the situation enough to choose which one is appropriate? Okay, that's the art of agility. So, Rosemary.
Yes.
With that, I want to move on and just want to thank you so much. I'm going to give everybody else a chance to share their...
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.